Here you go, folks. The walls are supposedly closing in on Donald Trump once again, this time over the Jeffrey Epstein story.
24 hours ago, we reported here that President Trump was urging his team to let the Jeffrey Epstein story die down, with one official telling me flatly that they were ready for it to just go away. But tonight, it has done anything but. The uproar coming from his own supporters is only growing this evening, which the president said just a few moments ago he doesn't understand.
Hey everyone, I'm Rich Lowry of National Review. Now, it's not true, as Trump says, that the Epstein story is a hoax, the same way Russiagate was a hoax. Epstein did indeed commit serious crimes, and Trump did have a relationship with him for years, which is embarrassing. But the idea that at this juncture, we're going to find smoking gun evidence implicating Trump in Epstein's crimes is extremely hard to believe, even though this is the idea that Democrats and their media allies are promoting. House Democrats just released a couple Epstein emails that the media has played up for all they're worth, even though this evidence is underwhelming and at a certain level vindicates Trump's story. First, there's this one that we've heard so much about. Epstein writes, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump," victim's name redacted, "spent hours at my house with them. He has never once been mentioned." Okay, sounds terrible, has been quoted all over the place. And then you wonder, what's the redacted name? As Republicans pointed out immediately, it's Virginia Giuffre. Why would you redact her name? She was the most prominent and public Epstein victim. There's no reason to redact her name to protect her identity. Very tragic case. She committed suicide last year. So it wasn't to protect her identity that Democrats redacted her name. It was to protect their narrative, because once you realize it's Giuffre, you can look up what she said herself. She said in a deposition that, yes, Epstein said that he was friends with Trump, but she never saw them together. She never saw Trump at Epstein's house. And someone else had said that Trump was flirting with her at one point. She denied that Trump ever flirted with her. So here is an Epstein victim directly contradicting what he said in that email. So why are we playing up what he said in that email and giving it so much credibility? Then there's another one. This one, to the journalist Michael Wolff, reads in part, "Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop." Sounds terrible, and has been quoted in major headlines and major newspapers all over the place. And that phrase, Trump knew about the girls, suggests that he knew about the girls and he knew about the abuse. Then you consider the broader context, right? The next line is, "as Trump asked Ghislaine to stop." That is a reference to Epstein's former girlfriend and procurer, now in prison, Ghislaine Maxwell. And this seems to vindicate, or at least a plausible interpretation is that it vindicates a story Trump has told, that he knew Epstein was poaching girls from Mar-a-Lago. He hated it. He wanted to stop, and he told him to cease and desist. So this plausibly could be an exculpatory email rather than one that carries these heavy implications of guilt for Donald Trump. But of course, that's not what the media is telling us. Now, my attitude in these kind of stories is I will change my mind as new facts emerge. But the idea that after all this time and all this investigation, that Trump is guilty as hell in the Epstein story and participated in his crimes is just hard to believe. Just consider what the Trump Justice Department did in the first term. Trump's Justice Department, specifically the Office of Professional Responsibility, issued an exhaustive and excoriating report about the non-prosecution agreement that had been reached with Epstein in a 2008 timeframe, something you don't do if you're covering for Jeffrey Epstein. Then the Justice Department worked around that non-prosecution agreement, something you don't do if you're covering for Jeffrey Epstein, to indict and prosecute Jeffrey Epstein. Again, you don't do that if you're covering for Epstein. He commits suicide in jail. They could have let the matter drop there. Instead, they prosecute Maxwell and send her to jail on very serious charges related to these crimes. Again, if the whole thing is being swept under the rug to protect powerful people or to protect President Donald Trump, you don't do that. On top of that, the prosecutors involved here hate sex offenders. That's one of the reasons they got into this line of work, so they're not going to cover for them. And then a lot of them hated or had no use for Donald Trump. James Comey's daughter, lead prosecutor on this matter. No love lost between her and Donald Trump. She's not going to cover for Donald Trump. If there's anything damaging, you can assume she or someone in that office would have leaked it. So we have all these prosecutions. We have a lot of documents already released. We have civil cases. We have victims doing interviews and making statements. And all that time, during all of that, no credible allegation that Donald Trump was implicated in any of this. Now, again, new facts, I will change my mind. But the other side is saying the way Trump is acting, he's acting like he's guilty. But this is his MO on everything, right? He totally denies, punch back as hard and fiercely as he can. And yes, he doesn't want the documents to come out because there will be more embarrassing information like these emails, would prefer for them not to be on the public record. Again, he had a relationship with Epstein, but that doesn't mean that Donald Trump was a criminal. It doesn't mean the walls are closing in. They're all saying where there's smoke, there must be fire. No, sometimes where there's smoke, there's just smoke. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.